It's time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shot.
All right, everybody. It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, California. We absolutely had some trouble getting back online. We've been away for a little summer break, but my boy Drew Evo, I think we got your camera fixed, Drew, so let me get that cracking. All right, Drew. Hello.
Ta-da!
Hey, man, better late than never, right? So, Drew Evo, thanks a lot for joining me, man, all the way from the city of brotherly love. Oh, man, it's glad to be back on the air. So, Drew, we've been away for about a week. There was no boxing on Saturday, but something really fun was that they put the fights on Friday night. And I went for a little road trip this weekend to celebrate our wedding anniversary. So I got to see all the fights on Friday. And I kind of like that, man. I was kind of wanted to hear your take about having some big cards on a Friday night.
Well, that's pretty good. I actually liked the Zoro Ramirez card that happened Friday night. Yeah. And I gotta say, it was awesome.
Yeah, the Zurdo Ramirez fight. And of course, what I most liked about that fight was not the Zurdo, the main event, but actually Jo Jo Diaz. This kid who was once a champion at 126. Had a pretty good win against Tevin Farmer at 130, but then had some personal issues, man. And then he was like, very vocal about not knowing what weight class he really belonged at. And here he makes this big calculated risk to go up to 135 and fight Javier Fortuna. This is a guy, Javier Fortuna, that Ryan Garcia, the golden boy, basically the nemesis of Oscar De La Hoya, was supposed to fight Javier Fortuna. And then he pulls out, just like on a whim, and says that he has some mental health issues. And people came to rally him. But all of a sudden, he's fine, and he's back in the gym. Meanwhile, Jo Jo Diaz, he steps up to the plate. No, I don't think anybody expected this from him because, first of all, Javier Fortuna is kind of one of those dark horses of the 135-pound division. It could go bad for you with anybody. Like, a lot of people seem to avoid Javier Fortuna. Jo Jo Diaz took the risk. I thought it was very close, but a win for Jo Jo Diaz. Man, your thoughts on Jo Jo Diaz? Is he now a big player, a real player here at 135, man? He looked pretty damn good.
You got to put him as a player now. He got a signature win off as people will call the dark horse of the division, Fortuna, even though Fortuna's people are disputing the decision because he said one of the judges only gave him 2 rounds and he didn't agree with that. So, like, at the end of the day, judges made their decision. You lost, even though if you don't agree with it and everything, you just got to, take it. And at the end of the day, it was a hell of a good fight. I think the weight suits Jo Jo Diaz. I think this is the weight class that's for him. And I think he could really be a big-time player in this division. I really think that he can possibly beat Devin Haney. I think he can probably beat Ryan Garcia. I think he gives Tank a hell of a lot of problems. I really think JoJo could be top 5 now. If maybe for another fight in this division. But it's a guy, he probably didn't. He took the fight later than expected. He probably didn't have a full training camp. But at the end, it's a good for a rematch if you want to call for a rematch of this fight. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch.
Yeah, most definitely. So let me say hello to some people in the chat. Bella Bling is in here. A-Rod83, Boxeo, salute, Shoeshine, Chicano Prophet. Always a pleasure to have you guys in the chat. Participate. If you guys want to pick up the phone, 702-710-3627 and give us a ring on your thoughts on this Friday night's card. Is Jo Jo Diaz the real thing now at 135? Because, Drew, you were mentioning, and Drew, if you're still there, your camera went gone. My co-host's camera's gone, so he may have gone off the stream, and I can call him back. But guys, I think Oscar De La Hoya.
I'll be right back.
All right. So by the way, everyone in the chat, UFC was the thing on Saturday, and I'm just drinking a shot of whiskey here that I just poured myself in tribute to the career that once was for Conor McGregor. I'm not a big fan of his whiskey, but it's no longer his whiskey. And I know I'm deviating from the thoughts, but Conor McGregor, I did not think he was going to be hungry. He had just sold that whiskey line, Proper 12, for millions upon millions of hundreds of millions. He's like 50 cents rich when 50 Cent sold the vitamin water. So here is a toast to Conor McGregor's career. And I hope that leg heals, but really the guy should retire from the sport, from all combat sports. So here it is to Conor McGregor. All right, Chicano Prophet says, I like what I see with Diaz. I agree with you for once. So here's my thing with Jo Jo Diaz. Yes, he's a Golden Boy fighter. And now Oscar finds himself in a precarious position because he's banking on Ryan Garcia being a future cash cow. He's also banking on him being kind of this matinee star. He's got the Hollywood good looks. He's got the fast hands. He's got the star potential. But now Jo Jo Diaz has emerged. He's actually fighting the guys that Ryan Garcia is your protege didn't want to fight and beats him. And now he's lining himself up to fight against Devin Haney, who's about to be a free agent if he's not a free agent already. Devin Haney, the actual WBC. You get so confused. He actually holds the WBC belt title. And Haney right away on Twitter went and started talking smack, saying, funny you want to call for a fight with Ryan Garcia when I'm your mandatory. So he had some choice words for him, Devin Haney, on social media, Jo Jo Diaz. And now it looks like it's just been like 48 hours, but now it really looks like these two could be looking at having a fight in the fall. And I think it's great for the sport because if Jo Jo Diaz pursues a fight with Ryan Garcia, we have no idea if Ryan Garcia will show up to fight. He's already pulled out a couple of times against other fighters. While the fight's already been made in contract, comes up with some way to get out of it. So if you're Jo Jo Diaz, you got the momentum in your career. Everything was looking fantastic. Take the fight with Devin Haney. I mean, what does he have to lose? Haney's going to show up to fight. Drew, I was just talking about that hot mess of social media beef. Jo Jo Diaz gets into it with Devin Haney over these past 48 hours. And now it looks like Devin Haney is serious. They're going to get into contract talk right away to have a fight this fall, man. And I seem to think that that's the right choice for Jo Jo Diaz instead of wasting his time. It's in-house. I think Oscar has no interest in putting up Ryan Garcia against Jo Jo Diaz. Also, I don't know if Ryan Garcia is going to show up. Your thoughts on Ryan Garcia versus JoJo or JoJo versus Haney?
You know what? Why do you even talk about Ryan Garcia, man? Like, to be honest, like I'm really, it's no secret now, and like everybody's starting to see it that he ducked Fortuna. It really doesn't take a dumbass to find that out that he really ducked Fortuna because it was a dangerous fight. Feel like that he signed a big lucrative prospect contract, that he was going to get easy fights and make millions of bucks. And then when he saw that Luke Campbell drop him, and Luke Campbell's not a type of guy that's a knockout puncher and everything, dropped him. I don't want to go up against these guys like Fortuna or Haney, But Haney's not a knockout puncher, and then you didn't want to call him out, but you said the fight I want is Tank. But guys, at the end of the day, when he said that I'm going through mental issues, and then he's on a commercial, not even 24 hours later, and then when he sees Haney almost getting knocked out, he comments on it. I was like this when I saw that Jo Jo Diaz Fortuna fight. Watch him say, "Oh, that was me. I would have knocked him out." Because he's an immature kid. And he tried to use mental illness as an excuse to get out of a fight. When are these people going to realize this kid wants to pick his fights, and he's not entitled to it because he's technically still a prospect?
I appreciate that Jo Jo Diaz stepped up and took on the challenge because, quite honestly, he kind of normalized Javier Fortuna, this guy that was like too dangerous for a lot of people. He kind of normalized Javier Fortuna now and kind of makes, in hindsight, looked at the decision of Ryan Garcia to, I'm not calling it an excuse, but whatever reasons the fight had to be called off. It kind of made it in hindsight look like, that wasn't the right call. Not only did he normalize Javier Fortuna, but he also looks good. I think he looks really good as an opponent towards Devin Haney. We just saw Linares hurt Devin Haney quite badly at the end of that fight. Devin Haney doesn't look invincible to me, and this is exactly what I want to see. That whole Four Kings thing that was going on, that you had you had Teofimo Lopez, you had Loma, you had Haney, you had Ryan Garcia. All of a sudden, any one of those guys could be thrown out of that equation with Jo Jo Diaz coming into the mix. It really, if any of those guys leave. But also what's really important to me, man, is that Jo Jo Diaz is calling out Gervonta. He's interested in a Gervonta fight, whether it's all talk, all bluster. It's a fight that's appealing, a fight with anyone if they want to work with Bob across the aisle, whether it's Teofimo, whether it's Loma, or any of the fighters in their stable at 135, including what he said, he would love to fight Oscar Valdez or Jamel Herring too at 130. The momentum is in his corner, and I think that Jo Jo Diaz is a feel-good story of the week, and he takes the best fight of the weekend for me. So that being said, the main event featured a guy that we haven't seen fight, who for a long time at 168 pound, he was a champion. Had some promotional issues, right, over at Top Rank. Couldn't get really good fights. I mean, he really couldn't get big name fights at Top Rank, and I think that's what's going to happen to Edgar Berlanga at 168 pounds over there. He's going to find himself not getting these big name fights. Now working his own promotions. Sergio Ramirez signed something with Golden Boy. Owns his own gym in L.A., just like your boy from Philadelphia. Gabe Rosado owns his own beautiful new gym in Los Angeles. He looks refreshed. Everybody seemed to be impressed. But was Barrera just a washed up opponent, man?
Yeah, I look at it like this. If you're trying to build a resume at this division, Barrera still was a live dog, still had dangerous power in both hands. Like, this is a guy that had one last opportunity to become a title contender. Like, this is a stepping stone, and Barrera he fought key people. And if you look at it like this, Jesse Hart beat him by unanimous decision. I think Bavar, had a unanimous decision win over him. Zoto Ramirez stopped him.
And so with some beautifully placed body shots. I was impressed by those body shots, but Barrera's to me, I need to see more. I definitely need to see Sergio Ramirez take a big step-up fight at 175 pounds. He's a big guy. And this is what I want to ask you, Drew. What is the likelihood? Oscar's been talking mad shit about Canelo for weeks, going on podcasts, going on the Mike Tyson, talking about, I just need two exhibition fights, not real fights, and then give me Canelo. We don't know what Oscar is thinking, saying shit like that. But what about the likelihood of seeing Zurdo Ramirez against Canelo? For years in the background, boxing purists, the hardcore boxing fans were like, look, if there's a Mexican guy that can give Canelo a real threat, it's Zurdo. And we know that Canelo, all of a sudden, you hear Canelo's training camp, as things are not panning out with this Caleb Plant unification, all of a sudden, Canelo's camp is talking about him legitimately fighting Beterbiev or Bivol at 175. Another move back up in weight. Is Zurdo Ramirez a threat to all these top guys? Beterbiev, Bivol, or will even Canelo take a challenge like that?
I think Zurdo Ramirez will be a champion at 175. And here's the thing about, he's way different than than your typical Mexican fighter, if you look at it. Because he's a boxer. He's a slick boxer, if you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy that, he's very accurate in his punches and everything. And his movement is very good. His defense is very good. He's not your normal, he's not the type of pedigree that you will see in a Mexican fighter. So if how fighters will say, oh, I'm fighting a Mexican fighter, they would normally know what they expect. Not with Zurdo Ramirez. With Ramirez, you're looking at a slick boxer that's a good body puncher. It's real accurate. He doesn't throw unless he knows he's going to land with it, or he's setting up for the bigger punch. So very good leg movement. Footwork is awesome. I'm not surprised that he's 41-0. Wasn't surprised that he was a titleist at 168. I really think that he beats Bivol. I think he beats Joe Smith Jr. I think him and Benavidez is probably a 50-50 fight, which, I would probably give it to him if he can box Benavidez and, land punches, because I thought the fame about Alexander Gruskic when he fought Benavidez, and it was a 50-50 fight until Benavidez opposed his will on him and got the stoppage in the later rounds. But Zurdo, I really think that he will eventually be a champion. Now, what you fail to mention is that in the coming days, there's supposed to be an announcement of a unification belt between Arthur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr.
Yeah, but you're bringing up Joe Smith, and so did in the chat they were bringing up Joe Smith Jr. I want to point out this comment that A-Rod 83 Boxeo said, people don't like Zurdo's style, but he has the skills to outwork you and potentially stopping a fighter. I think Zurdo versus Joe Smith would be a good fight, and I'm really disappointed to hear today that Joe Smith has signed some kind of 2-contract deal. The first guy is unknown to me completely. The second matchup is to be placed at Madison Square Garden. We know Joe Smith is from Long Island. Danny Jacobs moving up to light heavyweight. Not interested in that at all. I know that I love Joe Smith Jr. The guy works as a union blue-collar worker. He's the working man's champ at 175 pounds. But those are some really soft touch fights, man. One, an unknown mandatory type. Another guy, Danny Jacobs, who struggled 2 weight classes. Joe Smith versus Zurdo Ramirez. And that's the thing, Drew, is that since Zurdo Ramirez left Top Rank, we're not likely to see that at all. But we are likely to see him fight Bivol. And there's been a lot of shit talking between those two. I think that's a great fight. I want to see that fight against him and Bivol.
I think I saw Bivol's last fight, and I think there's a lot of holes in Bivol's game, and I really think Zurdo can exploit those holes in his game and possibly win a fight and win a decision against Bivol, possibly stop him, because he's a terrific body puncher, and I still think that Joe Smith Zurdo fight can be made because Oscar and Bob are good still. Like, you gotta realize that if it's there, if the money's there, what's wrong with making that fight? But I think it's a mismatch for Joe Smith going against Zurdo Ramirez because Zurdo can box the whole night.
Yeah, and you're right about that. And most people in the chat pointed out, if you're talking about boxing skill, he has it. Zurdo Ramirez has the boxing skill, and Joe Smith has the big power. And being that he still holds a day job and owns his own company, construction company, I mean, he doesn't have that amateur pedigree. He's not going to have that slick boxing. I don't favor Joe Smith against. I'd love to see something like that. He does hold the title. But at this point, if Bivol gets made against Zurdo Ramirez, I take Zurdo Ramirez in that fight, man. I really do. And I think that sets him up to make him a very attractive opponent to Canelo Alvarez. Should Canelo Alvarez venture up to 175? The latest news, let's talk a little Canelo news.
You know what? When it comes to I'm gonna say one more thing. I think this is the main reason why when it comes to Zurdo and Canelo, I think Oscar's gonna try to push this so hard that it's gonna mess Zurdo up. It's gonna mess Zurdo up, in my opinion, because he has so much. Oscar's acting like a little kid. When it comes
you can say that again.
He really is. He's acting like a little spoiled brat that, oh, this guy's left me. Oh, he made more money than me than he made with Eddie. Who cares, dude? Like, you should work on yourself at the end of the day. And you should look in the mirror. You're the one that said, I want to do these exhibitions, and you want to fight a UFC fighter and then fight probably another MMA fighter and everything.
Yeah.
Like, Oscar is embarrassing himself more and more. The more he talks, the more he embarrasses himself. He should just do more zip it and more watching and promote your fighters, because you're fucking up your fighters now. And this is really taking it out on your fighters, guys that are trying to make a living for their families and everything, risking their lives, and you're fucking with it because you want to try to get yourself out there more.
Oh man, Drew. So the chat was talking about Chicano Prophet says, does Drew? I'm down for the smoke. He's down for the smoke. So let me ask the chat this, because today is a special day. Today is the anniversary of the great Cuban fighter Erislandy Lara from Cuba.
American Dream
versus Canelo Alvarez. And what's really important about Erislandy Lara today for this weekend is that they have a common opponent. We're going to be seeing a unification at 154 pounds. This is going to be a really good fight. I think people are sleeping on this fight. I'm not even sure they have done the documentary series on Showtime, but Ryan Castano from Argentina versus Charlo is going to be a lot more competitive than people think. People think that Charlo is going to walk right through Castano, but they have a common opponent, and Erislandy Lara. I have Erislandy Lara losing the fight to Brian Castano. That was considered a split draw decision. But in that fight, Brian Castano showed me that he's going to do not too bad against Charlo. If you underestimate the Argentinian, if he underestimates him, let's not forget, this Charlo is not undefeated. Okay, he fought Harrison, and he underestimated Harrison. He said it was a robbery. All right, I had Harrison winning that fight by 1 round. Go ahead and drop it. Go ahead and drop it in the chat, folks. Did Lara beat Canelo Alvarez? Today is the anniversary. Did he beat Canelo? I think Drew posted his opinion on Twitter today. So go ahead. He said he's ready for the smoke.
First of all, Chicano, there's no reason why I debate you about a Teofimo Lomachenko fight until a rematch is made and when it gets close to the fight. That's when it becomes more good for a debate and everything. It's like a build-up. You gotta promote a build-up, Chicano.
And that's a good debate. And that's right. There is no official rematch for that one. But if the chat wants to go ahead and voice their opinion on the Lara, people love to talk about Lara versus Canelo. Very close fight.
No, that wasn't a close fight. I had Lara winning 9 rounds to 3.
9-3. I had Lara winning. I saw G Funky today. Shout out to G Funky and HCP, the HCP family. G Funky posted it today. It's a nice retrospective to go back and watch that fight again. I still had Lara winning. My wife called it the same immediately. She said Lara won that fight. Oh my God, they gave Canelo a freebie. I wouldn't mind seeing those two fight again. Really.
You know what? I can't see no more. I couldn't see giving him no more than 4 rounds, Canelo. But I had it 9-3. I fought Law. I boxed him. No combinations the whole freaking night. And and the referee had it 117 and 111 for
Yeah.
Canelo. Are you like, this is like that was robbery at its peak right there. Because that dude won that fight. And it was bullshit.
But it always
But
comes
like,
back to what do people score their fight on? Every time I rewatch it, I tinker between 7-5 for Lara or 8-4. Run PMC says I had Lara winning the fight 8-4 on the rewatch, and I always kind of go between 8-4, 7-5. 7-5 is always a close fight, always a thrilling fight,
and
hard
like
to score.
the
Depends.
Castano fight, I had it a draw. I had the Castano Law fight a draw.
A 6, an even 6-6. But I want to.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and move that. Before we get to the Castano Charlo officially, before we move on to that, you had some few items that are hot topics right now. I got a couple of gossip items. The whole thing about the Tyson Fury, while we were out, while we took the Monday off, the Tyson Fury fight has been postponed. Not canceled, postponed. The tentative date that they're putting out is October. This is my birthday weekend, which like makes it really enticing for me to go to Vegas.
What is it?
October 9th, October 10th, Saturday.
Damn, mine's the 16th.
So it makes it appealing to go back to Vegas because according to what I'm seeing, there was plenty of $300 seats. Suddenly they canceled the fight. Like there was a ton of cheap seats. $300 is considered cheap for a heavyweight fight like that. And all of a sudden, Tyson Fury, but not just Tyson Fury, man. They didn't want to say who in the camp had COVID. Now we find out Joseph Parker is in his camp as a sparring partner. He has COVID. Andy Lee, the great Andy Lee, has COVID. I'm going to say this about COVID and the Delta variant. I have a good friend who's a Vegas vlogger who's got a tremendous YouTube channel, refuses to get the vaccine, and has been fighting COVID for the past 10 days with the Delta variant. All right. He goes out and talks to people. Everyone's in Vegas. There's no mask requirements now. I think it's entirely possible that it's factual, that they all have COVID. It's totally possible. The mask policy is not in force. It's all on a honor system. You know, you got are you fully vaccinated? I think it's entirely possible Teofimo Lopez also contracted COVID because of what's going on in the Las Vegas gym scene, what's going on the tourist strip. This weekend, 18,000 plus tickets sold out at the T-Mobile Arena to see Conor McGregor fight. 68,000 people at the Raiders Stadium with no masks watching Garth Brooks. Man, it's entirely possible. Run PMC says, prayers to your friend Dave. I'm going to be glad to say this, man. After 10 days, even though he's overweight, which is like, man, please get a vaccine if you have comorbidity issues, man. Get the vaccine. He's doing a lot better. So I think this Delta variant, I don't know, it's just speculation, man. It seems like a lot of it is very much flu-like symptoms, and it could go worse, but thank God for him, he's recovering rather quite quickly. And I'm not surprised if Teofimo Lopez, Drew, they said Teofimo went to Europe or something already. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised if he healed.
Joseph Parker's at a UFC event with COVID, supposedly.
Yeah, well, my friend's back out on the strip vlogging again, and it's only been 10 days. He feels tremendously better, but he did come up positive. He was forced to go back home and he can't work. They test a lot of people that work in the construction industry. You just can't go on the site if you got COVID. You're going to infect the entire team, you know?
That's the thing. There's a lot of questions that people want to know about this. How is Joseph Parker at a Conor McGregor fight this past weekend when he's tested positive for COVID?
Well, does he not care? I mean, you're right. It seems highly suspect. It seems highly suspicious. But again, some of these people that are testing positive, either they've got 1 dose vaccine or they had 2 and they actually technically they have COVID, but they show no symptoms. And what really startled me during the break while we were gone, you know, Christine, our friend Christine, leave it in the ring with Christine, who is part of Team USA Boxing. She was on our show a few weeks ago. I ran into her in Vegas. She's part of the HCP family. actual athletes for the Olympics from other countries that were fully vaccinated showed up and had COVID. So it's entirely possible to have COVID and show no symptoms at all, even be vaccinated, but still test positive, showing very little symptoms. So that being said, man, here's a little piece of gossip. If you guys are fans of Paulie Malignaggi, I go back with Paulie Malignaggi. I used to always run into him, had some very good interviews with him in the past, and I hope to have him back on the air. He's been kind of timid about going on people's shows, very specific about who he goes on. You know, they dumped him from Showtime Sports. He did that commentary gig at Celebrity Boxing, Damon Feldman, another guy that I'm in contacts with. It's going to happen on Tyson Fury's fight weekend, man. Paulie Malignaggi is coming back to fight a celebrity boxing match. I don't know if it's that guy who smashed the pie in his face. I don't know. It's like he's like a big time radio DJ. Yeah, I mean, to go from being a 2-division champion to then fighting on bare knuckles and now fighting on celebrity boxing. Whatever, man. More power to him. If he's going to get paid, it's going to be in South Beach, and it looks like it's going to be the weekend of the Tyson Fury fight. Hopefully, it's Friday and not Saturday night, because Damon Feldman's celebrity boxing card with Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom will be headlining, making his comeback. And word on the street is he might be fighting another NBA player. I don't know if it's confirmed, but Lamar Odom may be fighting the Kardashians.
Tristan Thompson?
Yes.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
This is why it's gossip. Like I said, it's not confirmed. It's very likely they have a huge feud going on that's who his opponent is going to be. And you know what? A lot of people are interested in that freak show stuff. He did beat up Aaron Carter. Aaron Carter, a very dangerous martial artist, former boy band member.
I don't even want to get into that.
All right,
because I already said a joke about it, and I got a lot of hate for it.
But yeah, it's exciting. It's fun for Paulie Malignaggi. Get paid, get back out there, and you never know if he's going to make a return to a commentary team. A lot of people on social media think that the commentary teams at a lot of these networks are piss poor. Whether it's DAZN, ESPN just picked up Mike Coppinger from The Atlantic. Over at ESPN. People were even confused why Teddy Atlas and Kellerman are suddenly UFC guys.
I don't know, but imagine having Paulie Malignaggi and Philly Irish Drew Evo on the same thing. An Italian and a Mick. At the same, our personalities talking and everything. Probably debating against each other, but I don't think we'll debate against each other because I think we agree on mostly everything. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be awesome. Chicano Prophet says, I think Paulie is great on the mic. I've learned from him when he comments. A lot of people are willing to forgive some of the personal issues that got him let go from Showtime Sports. Because when it comes to boxing commentary, he was really good at it. He was really good, and that's something that's lacking over at Showtime Sports right now. No diss to the people.
Everywhere.
No diss, but there's just a lack of chemistry going on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lack of chemistry going on at some of these commentary cards, and even Trilla could definitely use somebody like Paulie Malignaggi. By the way, what is the word on Teofimo Lopez going to Australia? Because there's another guy that I'm following from Australia, big time, who is back in the news. Australia is fighting COVID, and the son of Costa Tszyu, the world-famous Costa Tszyu, Tim Tszyu, continues to tear it up at 154 pounds, smashing through Australian opponents. And people are hearing about it, and they want to see him come to America, man. There was a poll on Twitter yesterday. The majority of people on Twitter said they want to see the winner of Castano versus Charlo. And they asked people, who would you like to see get a crack at that? And the majority of the people said Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's been fighting at 3. If you're lucky enough to watch him live, he's fighting at 3 in the morning because of the time difference.
Someone told me that they saw his nickname on his win record thing, and I think his nickname is Soul Taker. Something that has to do with soul.
I like it.
Like I think, like damn, that's creative.
I like it. I think he's absolutely ready to come to the U.S. The guy he was going to fight, Zerafa, has fought some better names, but Zerafa pulled out. Apparently, his team was very concerned about contracting COVID. Australia is going through their own COVID. Like, they were cool, and now all of a sudden it's exploding on the island. So he pulled out of that fight. And there was nothing wrong with him. He didn't have COVID. They just didn't want to travel into the town and deal with all the quarantining bullshit. Or what it was, and so they had a last-minute opponent get smashed up in there. But right now, if Tim Tszyu is going to become a household name, he needs to make his way to the States like his father did. He's carrying his father's legacy, and to be honest, he looks extremely strong. And I really want to see him in against somebody like Castano. I think that fight would be fireworks. What we're going to see Saturday, let's move on. Let's move on to our pick of the week, because this fight is going to be competitive, in my opinion, Drew. Your thoughts on people sleeping on Brian Castano from Argentina? All the great champions from Argentina, man. Let's not forget Lucas Matisse, who was a beast until he ran into your Philadelphia fighter, Garcia. But Lucas Matisse was a beast at 140. You had, the great Sergio Martinez, one of my favorite 160-pound champions.
Maravilla.
And now we got a 154-pound champion with 2 belts, and Brian Castano looking for this is the toughest test. He could potentially walk away with all the belts. Or Charlo could walk away with all the belts. Is there anything that you see in his brother's performance, his brother's lackluster performance recently, his brother at 160 pounds, is that going to carry over to the little Charlo, the 154-pound twin brother?
First of all, I thought this should have got more press than that Gervonta Tank Davis fight. The only reason why, because Leonard Ellaby is doing some behind-the-scenes stuff when it comes to being on somebody's jock. But, by the way, he's a funny guy, by the way. If you want to hear some good jokes, go to his Twitter. You can see some funny treats that are probably more likely not true. So let's look at it like this. I saw Castano beat Teixeira for the belt, and Teixeira's an okay, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't have a chin. So, right. But Castano walked him down. People I really saw how good of a fighter he really is, and I'm really torn right now because I can't eat. It's really hard for me to pick a winner. Like, that's how bad. This is how close this fight is. It's hard for me to pick a winner of this fight.
Yeah.
And it's a 50-50 fight to me, but it's really hard for me to pick a winner because Castano has not been hurt, but he is an underrated boxer. And he has great footwork.
Yeah, to come to a split draw against Erislandy Lara, a pure boxer, I don't think that Charlo is going to show him what he is going. What this Charlo does have against Erislandy Lara is more pop and more power, and I'm wondering if that's going to get the attention and respect of Castano, because Castano is a wrecking machine, just kind of like Miguel Berchelt, but much more skilled, vicious body combinations. Will Charlo do something to get the respect of Castano to stop the relentless pressure? And I want to say this, Chicano Prophet says, Jermel has shown us that the Charlos have chinny genetics. That's what I'm concerned about for the Charlo, man. Are they overestimating Brian Castano? Will this be Brian Castano's night? It is, to me, a completely 50-50 fight.
Like, you have to also look at it from, is Jermel gonna respect Castano? Is Castano gonna get Jermel to respect him with his relentless pressure? Is he gonna get punches off? Because I don't know. It's a really hard fight to pick. But I was really thinking about this fight for the past couple weeks, who I will think win this fight and everything. And I'm still like iffy. Like, I'm going to be two-faced from DC Comics and put a coin up and say, let's make a deal, let's take a chance. It says you win, tells I kill you, but I don't. Oh man.
Well, it looks like you're going to have to make a choice because Chicano Prophet says, pick a winner, Drew. I'm trying to put some money on this, and I need your counsel. Let's catch up on some more, digest that. We have Bella Bling in the chat saying, is Drew finally going to Vegas for his B-Day? I mean, hello, you could see the great Tyson Fury fight if that doesn't get canceled. Sergio Martinez was the man, says Chicano Prophet. Run PMC. The fight, and he's talking about Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matisse, was his peak, in my opinion. It was the greatest performance of his life. And he's talking about Danny Garcia, schooling Lucas Matisse. And Drew,
hold on. Who the hell is this dude saying, stop capping, dog?
That's Barbershop Jr. says, stop capping, dog.
What is this? Is this a... Come on. First of all, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome. We have first time, so welcome to the show. All opinions are valid here.
Welcome to the show, Barbershop Jr. I'm not gonna like who you like in this fight, Barbershop. If you want me to stop capping.
I'm still on the fence, but I am headed towards a certain prediction, and I have to admit, I've been really. The last time I called 2 fights, I was wrong on all of them. In fact, I'm very grateful that the guys over at the round table invited me over, and I got all my predictions wrong, man. I got them all wrong. And one thing A-Rod Boxeo was saying right now is that he thinks Jermell will catch him. We do know that Jermell hits very clean, and he hits very hard. And that's what I'm wondering. Will Castano take Jermell's hard, clean shots? Because you said you haven't seen him really been hurt. And Erislan De Lara, to me, he's a bit feather-fisted. He's a fantastic boxer from the Cuban school. He put a number on Canelo as far as boxing, but he never hurt Canelo. So will he hurt Jermell? Even with the relentless pressure style. Recently, Valdez was able to outsmart Burchelt, a pressure fighter, made him look silly, knocked him out. So do I go with that? Or do I go with Castano's relentless pressure and the fact that Jermell Charlo has already lost to Tony Harrison? He's not undefeated. He knows what it feels like to taste defeat. Will it be his second loss?
So Barbershop picks Charlo to win by third round KO. Huh.
That would be a statement win. And if Charlo pulls off an early knockout like that, I mean, that is going to really cement his legacy. He's going to hold all the belts and will attract at PBC. Let's remember, we're just talking about and praising your boy Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia wants to move up to 154, which I think he'll be completely ineffective at 154. But still a name. Would be an easy defense for Jermell Charlo, who would hold 4 belts all at once, fighting Philadelphia's Danny Garcia. It's just speculation, man. Here it is, Drew. While you're still thinking about it, I'm making my call. I made my pick. I'm not embarrassed. And it's going to be Castano by upset. Brian Castano by upset. And I'm sure if you put some money on that, that's actually going to pay a lot better. Like Floyd Mayweather made all that money this weekend. Put your money on Brian Castano for the upset. And we'll see if I'm a fool next Monday night. All right, Drew, you've had plenty of time. We've got some new people in the room. Barbershop Jr. says Charlo finna win by third round knockout. Bella Bling says, I'll buy Drew a ticket to Fury's fight. Damn, Bella Bling must be rich, just like the name says. Bella Bling, she must be rich. Chicano Prophet says, if Drew can pick Saunders, he should have no problem backing Castano. So there it is.
Here's the thing. I was back and forth on this shit. And I think the third round KO is really exaggerating in a pipe dream, but you have your right to choose whatever pick you want to choose and everything but this dude is no Tony Harrison. And I believe Charlo was robbed in the first fight with Tony Harrison.
So you think he's unblemished? So you feel he's unblemished?
I think he's undefeated still, but
Tony Harrison is crafty. He was very crafty. He did give him problems. But is Castano crafty?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have reasons why both guys, keys to both guys were in this fight. Jamel's been in there with a lot, he's been running through this division. I have a lot of respect for him more than his other brother, because he's actually going through the top guys in the division. And I really think he's crafty too, a little bit. But I think Castano has that pressure that Charlo's never been around before. But I really think Charlo pulls this out by a close decision. I don't think that Castano pulls the trigger and finishes Charlo, but I think it's going to be a real close fight. But I have it. I'm going to say it's going to be possibly 115, 113, Jamel Charlo.
All right. There you have it. We are split on the shoe shine. Drew has it for Jamel Charlo. Dave has it for Castano. We're gonna find.
And I guys gotta ask: Are you LDBC Barbershop Junior or something? Because you just say like I'm capping for the Argentinians.
Listen, there's no affiliation on the shoe shine. It don't matter because that's like asking Bella Bling if she's LDBC. She says Charlo. So, and Bella Bling, you can put if you're LDBC or you're just a fan of the sport, right?
Like seriously, like at the end of the day, we don't want to go about. I don't like bringing up. Oh, you lobbying for the Argentinians? I'm not about race when it comes to boxing. I'm about fighters. If I think a fighter's gonna win, I'm gonna pick a fighter. Doesn't matter if they're white, black, Argentinian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Italian, Japanese, Cuban, wherever I don't care what it is. If I think that guy's gonna win, I'm thinking he's gonna win all based off his skill. About my analysis, watching that fighter and everything, I watched both fighters, and I really think Charlo's gonna win a close fight because I think the pressure, Castano is gonna make this fight close. I think Charlo's crackness is probably gonna win the fight at the end of the day, and that's how it is. And if you guys don't like the way that it is, I'm sorry, but we're keeping 100 on this channel. And if you don't like to keep it 100, and because you don't like your feelings or it, I don't know what to tell you, man. So you gotta be able to not to get into your feelings when it comes to this show, because we don't get into our feelings, because we always have difference. We have a difference of opinion sometimes, but we're still cool as shit with each other at the end of the day. And everybody in this chat has difference of opinions sometimes too. So everybody, if you gotta leave that shit the hell out there, don't bring that shit in here. That's all I'm saying.
Right on, true. And with that being said, hey, I want to just let everyone know I truly appreciate everybody coming out here and hanging out with us. There's so much competition, and all the competition. Listen, a lot of these guys, we've worked with them. We know them. They're great commentators of their own. They've got great shows. So I applaud you and thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us, even if it's a little bit. We are still struggling to get a solid YouTube channel growing. But as soon as I hit that first 100 subs, I'm going to give out some merchandise. I'm going to put out a t-shirt and a new era hat for the 100th and 101st subscribers. So please, if your friends or your homies, your cousin, your brother, your mother loves the sport of boxing, let them know about our channel. Tell them to go ahead and subscribe and hit the notifications. It will really help us out. A shout out to our good friend David Duenas, who's still hosting our podcast at Leave It in the Ring on iTunes, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast from. You can get that later in the week. All right, Drew, real quick now. So the Tyson Fury fight is off. So I'm not sure if you've been postponed.
Yeah, because people are in the habit of saying off and everything.
Right, postponed. But one thing that is not postponed is Rush Hour 4, the movie starring Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence, The Truth. I think it's fantastic, the promotion that they're doing. No, I think it's awful, dude. Look at these guys wearing suits, man. These are two fantastic fighters at welterweight wearing suits. They look like they're best friends about to star in a buddy film. You know what I mean? One of these cop movies. True. Oh man. Is the promotion going good for Errol Spence versus Pacquiao August 21st in Las Vegas? That's all we have to look forward to as a super fight this summer. We got a unification this weekend. That some of the stuff changed because the WBA has stripped Manny Pacquiao of his regular title. So there's not as much on the line, but still, as a 42-year-old Pacquiao getting in shape, we got to give a salute to him for doing that, man. But do they need help promoting this fight, or is this fight going to sell itself?
First of all, I'm going to reply to this comment real quick. Barbershop, it's all love, bro. And, I'm glad you respect my pick. I want you to come back next week. If your prediction's true, you can talk about it. If my prediction's true, that he's going to lose, he's going to win his decision. But you know what? I said before that when they were talking about Terrence Crawford, who's one of these guys, Terrence Crawford fighting Errol Spence fight was being talked about. And then they brought up Pacquiao's name. And I said, you know what? Don't be surprised if any of these guys fight Pacquiao before the other, that person loses to Pacquiao. Because everybody's telling me that Pacquiao's going to get massacred. That Pacquiao's going to get brutally knocked out. And I just got to say something.
It's happened before. It's something I've seen.
They said Keith Thurman was going to knock him out. And he scored Keith Thurman. He almost stopped Keith Thurman.
Man, Keith Thurman hasn't been one time since. It's been years. And Keith Thurman is a nice guy. He don't have the killer instinct of him anymore. But I'm concerned about Errol Spence. When Manny Pacquiao destroyed Oscar De La Hoya, he held back. He said, man, this is a guy I looked up to. This is a legend. This is someone that I revered. Is Errol Spence going to hold back for the fans, for the pay-per-view? Is he going to really hold back from, I think, a healthy Errol Spence and a 42-year-old kind of getting out of shape Manny Pacquiao is a recipe for disaster. That's why I applaud Manny Pacquiao, a living Filipino legend of the sport. But I think he can get seriously hurt if Errol Spence steps on the gas August 21st. It could be the end of Manny Pacquiao era as we know it. He may take his foot off the gas and give the fans and carry him the way Floyd Mayweather carried Conor McGregor.
I should I reply to this comment?
No.
No, I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be honest. I respect all communities in boxing. I may not like everybody's views of how they view boxing, but I respect every community.
That's
and
good.
I think
That's what we
and I
got
think
to do.
everybody has to be together on shit and stop using certain things as motivation, and to your point and everything, because it's not helping this sport. This is why this sport's on life support, and it's not, and people's views on shit ain't helping it. That's my
listen. The sport of boxing in the United States can absolutely bring people together, man. At the end of the day, if you watch what happened in the European Cup between Italy and England, the sport of boxing is not on life support like some may say. The sport of soccer, I mean, there's some straight up hooligan shit and racism shit all over Europe that just, it's hard to wrap your head around. At the end of the day, the sport of boxing can absolutely unify Americans. I definitely don't see as many rumbles. In fact, the last time I saw rumbles was in Carson City at the formerly known StubHub, and that was Mexican on Mexican violence. So, yes, we can all do better. But if you love the sport of boxing, it can absolutely be something to unify. Black and brown people keep the sport alive in the United States. And the international community, Irish, Eastern European countries like Russia, you name it, man. This is a global sport, and it can absolutely be used for good.
Like at the end of the day, you can't underestimate a 42. You can't underestimate Manny Pacquiao.
No, you
And
can't.
I
No, you
really
can't.
and I
Definitely.
and like it's not saying that I'm gonna. I think all Spence is gonna win this fight, but you still can't underestimate Manny Pacquiao because if you look at it like this, Manny Pacquiao, you don't know what Manny Pacquiao you're gonna get that night. You don't know what Earl Spence you're gonna get that night. You might get Earl Spence that has a game plan that he's gonna try to go down. He's gonna try to mow down Manny Pacquiao because he's the bigger fighter and stronger fighter, I think. But you might not know. This is possibly the best skill set fighter Earl Spence has ever fought in. Even if he's a 42-year-old guy, Manny Pacquiao still possesses that hand speed, still possesses that footwork, man. And I'm really cannot stress this enough. This is not an easy fight for Earl Spence. This fight can go south right away for this dude. But I still pick Earl Spence to win this fight. I still think he wins by stoppage by a late stoppage, in my opinion. Is it going to be a brutal knockout? I hope not, because I never wish a fighter gets brutally knocked out. Even if he deserves it, I never wish he gets brutally
No, you're
knocked
right.
out.
You don't want to see anyone seriously injured. Chicano Prophet says, if Pacquiao doesn't gas out, I think he wins the fight. So that's someone that thinks Pacquiao more than has a chance at outpointing Errol Spence. You brought up the point we don't know what version of Errol Spence we're going to get that night. I really think Errol Spence will rise to the occasion on this particular night. My opinion might change as we get closer to August 21st. We will revisit that. But I don't think that Manny Pacquiao is the guy to push Errol Spence to his full potential. Quite honestly, I think Errol Spence has been more than ready to leave the 147-pound division. But of course, there's one guy that he absolutely needs to fight for the sport, for his legacy, and for the history of boxing. He needs to get in with Terrence Bud Crawford. They need to make that fight. Those are the two top African-American fighters in this country. They need to face each other for the historical context. And I think that's when we're going to see the best of Bud Crawford and Errol Spence.
That's a fight that I want to see, and I doubt we'll see it. I don't think we're going to see it because
shame.
It's a goddamn shame.
Shame
and
on Bob
Barbershop,
Arum.
see, we picked on 2 fights together already, me and you, Barbershop. So you can't hate on me now.
Official.
Nobody can hate on me now, but an official. We picked on 2 fights together too, because I know you were picking Charlo also.
Listen, I'm glad to have an official LDBC rep is in the room. I've seen him on other shows. He seems to be fond of the Drew Evo, the Philly Irish. He says, at Philly Drew Evo, as long as you understand Tank would run through 135, we cool. And I have to say, he might.
I have to disagree. He has knockout power. He has power. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna rebuttal, and I'm gonna tell you this against right now. Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather needs to cash out on that dude and let him fight these top fighters because we don't know nothing yet until he fights a legitimate 135 pounder. And that 140, after the third ranked fighter in that division, I don't really think of that as a good division. So he has power. I like his one punch knockout power. Don't get me wrong. I think if he catches Ryan Garcia clean, he knocks him out. I even think that he can knock Devin Haney out.
Oh, yeah. After Linares hurt him. We're just speculating because he brought that up. But I think his chances at cleaning out 135 are fantastic. After what he showed me in his debut at 140 pounds, I don't want to hear PBC and Floyd saying that it's going to be in-house and they're going to be cherry picking for him. Do not hold back on Gervonta Davis. Do not hold back on him. He's got the talent. Let him control his destiny.
I want to ask a question real quick. So, official and barbershop, do you think it's wrong for them to stay in-house and let him only fight PBC fighters? Just give me a clear answer on that. Because you think he wants through this division, 135, give me a clear answer. Because for him to 1 through 135, he has to go explore fights with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, Teofimo, and they're out-of-house fighters.
Yeah, and I personally like his chances against several of the fighters you just brought up, whether it's Jo Jo Diaz, who just made news this weekend, whether it's Devin Haney, who got hurt by Linares, whether it's Ryan Garcia, who got dropped by the British fighter. And then, hey, I'm telling you, Lomachenko versus Tank Davis is a big sell. That is a big sell. Do not hold back the earning potential of Gervonta Davis. The numbers were paltry. The numbers were pathetic. 200,000 pay-per-view sales. You put them in against Lomachenko in a pay-per-view special, you will see some big sales. You'll see some big numbers, right?
All right. Now he's saying Irish blood. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Why would somebody protect Tyson Fury from a guy he easily knocked out already, and he won a first fight with, and was and a gifted draw was given to Deontay Wilder? And please never bring up Irish blood. Yeah, he's an Irish gypsy, but there you go again. We don't need to bring that shit up in this thing, man. If you're wild, hey, let me tell you something. I like Deontay Wilder. I just don't like the shit he did after he lost to Fury. And it said after the post-fight interview, when he had the post-fight interview, the better man won and everything. Then he goes back and comes up with all this shit, bro. Fighters admit they lost and they move on and they learn from their loss and get better. Not make thousands of excuses why they lost the fight. Now, I'm not going to go back and forth with some bullshit glove gate that was proven not true and everything by multiple people. I'm not going to have a guy coming on there trying to ruin somebody's livelihood, saying that he spiked his own water and everything, when they do drug testing after the fight and they didn't find an ounce of that shit in his system. So when it comes to that, man, I don't respect the guy that tries to fuck up somebody's livelihood. And when Wilder try to fuck up Mark Bland's livelihood and not try to get him hired by nobody again. That's one thing. But at the end of the day, boxing is between two men. Old women. Yeah. They fight, the best person wins. And if your favorite fighter doesn't win, so fucking beat it. A lot of the fights that I pick, some fighters that I like, they didn't win all the time. Did I make excuses why they lost? Fuck no, I didn't make excuses why they fucking lost. I'm like, hey, that dude was the better man. And hopefully the dude comes back from it. And to tell you the truth, man, Deontay Wilder, there's so much pressure on him for all these excuses that he made. If he loses again, his career's over. If he gets knocked out again, his career's over. If you want me to be honest, I think the WBC should force Deontay Wilder and Dillian Whyte to fight for an interim title because of this COVID bullshit. Because if you look at it like this, Deontay Wilder was an interim champion, but Vitaly Klitschko was the WBC heavyweight champion. When he went to one for Mayor of Kiev, Ukraine, he was made WBC heavyweight champion on Turner. That made Ronnie Stavon at the time the WBC interim champion. And then after that, they fought. Deontay won. He became the full champion because Vitaly announced his retirement. Now, if you want me to be honest, Deontay Wilder ducked Dillian Whyte 3 years ago with the help of the WBC, of a corruption of the WBC. So let's be 100 here. If you're gonna say shit, you need to speak about shit going against that dude too. He ducked Dillian Whyte.
But we are not going to see Dillian Whyte. That's not our phone line, by the way, Drew. You might want to mute that phone line. Listen, that was pretty heated. All right. Chicano Prophet says, "Damn, this is getting deep." And now Drew mentioned women in boxing too. This fight's not going to happen for a while. Whether it's going to be in October, there's going to be plenty of time to discuss the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury trilogy fight, Drew. But you were mentioning the ladies. Can I just give a quick shout out? You know, Zulema Urbina, Mexican woman who's been she's been on shows with our brothers over at HCP and Raw Boxing. Raw Boxing Ranger did a fantastic interview. Zulema Urbina fought for a title this Friday on the undercard of that DAZN against a 45-year-old Japanese woman. 45-year-old champion. And lost to the 45-year-old Japanese champion. So just wrap your mind around that. Does Pacquiao have a chance? Somebody even older than Pacquiao is fighting at 45 in top conditioning. Beat a good friend of everyone here on the show, Sulem Urbina. So congratulations to her, and congratulations to Sinisa Superbad Estrada, who is my favorite female fighter, man. I just love watching Sinisa Estrada fight, man. She's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I liked it. And at the end of the day, official, he's not your king. You're your own king.
No.
Don't ever say somebody's your king, man. You're your own king at the end of the day.
I heard that, man.
Not say that to everybody.
Chicano Prophet knows Sulem is not 45. The Japanese champion that defeated Sulem was 45 years old and put in a health. You wouldn't know it from the performance she put in. I think Sulem's only in her early 30s. But yeah, we got to wrap up the show, the Shoe Shine. I'm so appreciative everybody came back. So, Drew, you were pretty fired up. We got the Showtime card. I'll let you have your last words.
Ladies and gentlemen, people really got to realize that fans need to start being better with views on it. Debates are okay to have. But we gotta be better, man. We can't keep doing with the shit that's been going on, man. Don't let people predict or control your mindset. Have your own mindset. Don't let people with false narratives make you think what they think. Because those people, they just steal your money. They steal your time and everything. Just, do your own research. Keep it 100. You don't need to really and at the end of the day, you're your own king. Nobody's your king but yourself.
I heard it right there, man. Try to get under your skin, but you held your own, Drew. Listen.
I love the watch list,
I think they like to get you riled up. There's some people that like Drew getting riled up.
They're gonna say false shit about me, and I don't care if they say false shit about me because they put my name out there, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. This Shoe Shine definitely appreciates it. Listen, I'm looking forward to the second total unification matchup of the year. I think there's nothing better for the sport. In the four belts era that we have, we're getting 2 of them this year, and there's nothing better for the sport of boxing. I hope we come out, whether you're for Team Castano or Team Charlo, the real winners are going to be the fans of boxing this weekend. And whether or not you have some friends or family members that are casual fans, tell them to tune into the Showtime thing. Chicano Prophet says, I won't lie, I think it's great when Drew rages. Yeah, I do too, man. So on behalf of the Shoe Shine, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in here. And I just wanted to ask you guys, I'm kind of like not knowing what to do with my channel. I enjoy doing this every Monday night, but I wanted to start doing some travel vlogs as well. I don't even know whether I should put them on my channel, but I'm going to I just spent a wonderful weekend with my wife celebrating our wedding anniversary. We took a little road trip, and I just wanted to share. Starting to get into video editing and camera work, and hopefully learn some stuff so I can get into some gyms and really putting out some solid boxing content. So my little travel video that I'm going to put here, let me know in the comments or hit me up at the Mike and Dave 1 on Twitter and let me know if you want to see me do just more vlogging about my life, man. I'm Dave from the 408 from the Shoe Shine Boxing. Hope everybody enjoys a wonderful weekend in the sport of boxing, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Peace.
Guys, it's Dave from the 408. It is our road trip weekend. We're headed down to SLO, San Luis Obispo, Pismo Beach area, and we'll just show you guys what we're going to be up to this weekend. All right. right, I just arrived in Slow, San Luis Obispo, and our room is not ready, so we're going to take a little driving tour and see what is around our hotel area. Alright, we just finished up dinner. What was the name of that restaurant? Novo. Yeah, that was some good food. What'd you have, honey?
Pappardelle de limon.
Nice. Check this out.
We have striped sea bass.
What's up, guys? Today's day 2 here in Slow. We're gonna go head out to Avila Beach and go have some breakfast with the mother-in-law and the family.